Yeah. So today's webinar is more about it's not too much about concepts. It's more about a psychological fact which hinders our ability to think more openly, to think clearly. Thank you, Malika. So today's webinar is about suspending your assumptions. See, throughout our school, throughout our being an employee, being a human being, we have certain assumptions which are fixed, like assumptions like we stick to positive numbers a lot, right? Because in real life we count things as positive numbers. So those are the assumptions which get stuck with us, and when we carry forward those assumptions in the GMAT test, we face problems because we are not able to think beyond the usual because of that, right? So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be telling you a little bit about these assumptions, and I'm just going to be solving questions with you guys, right? So this webinar is only going to be about that, because if you want to learn concepts, there are videos on that. I'll be just repeating myself if I start teaching you concepts today. So today it's about we solving questions, you guys telling me where you are not understanding it, so that it's mutually beneficial for you. So just as a rule, because it's a live class, guys, whenever I ask you something, just make sure that you put it on the chat window, because that's the only mode of communication I have with you guys, right? So I'm gonna ask you, is everyone clear? Just put it on the chat window. You can put a yes, you can put a okay, you can put a anything. All right, perfect. Okay. Just makes me feel that I'm talking to a real person than just than just talking to the screen. Okay, all right. So as I said about suspending assumptions, right? So first, like, let's suppose, for example, we always have a knack for thinking about positive numbers. Well, GMAT will not only test you on positive numbers. GMAT will test you on the whole number line, right? So there are some special numbers that you should always think about. So let's suppose if you get an inequalities question, you get a data sufficiency question, always think about positive numbers. Always think about numbers which are between 0 and 1, right? These numbers are pretty special. Always think about numbers which are between 0 and -1, right? And always think about negative numbers. And 0 is a very special number when it comes to GMAT, right? Because there are many rules which for math, especially for math, actually, in fact, for math, that 0 breaks. So just make sure that whenever you're thinking about a question, when you're thinking about the possibilities of the statement being wrong or the statement being insufficient, you try the whole plethora of these different types of numbers. You don't have to think, should I try a 6 or should I try a 7 or should I try an 8? Just go ahead and try a positive number, a decimal, a negative decimal, and a negative number. Now, why am I asking you to try numbers? Because especially when it comes to data sufficiency in GMAT, I have explicitly talked about that a lot. I explicitly talked about that in my videos, that always try to disprove a statement first. So the first attempt of for a data sufficiency question is for you to go ahead and disprove it, because disproving is much easier than proving it, right? So if you see a statement, if you see a data sufficiency statement, what you should be doing is first attempt so there are actually two possible strategies that you can apply. You can either go ahead and use algebra, which is math, right? Something that we are so used to, something that has been so much constructed in us, that this is the first thing that we always try to do. We try to use algebra, for which I don't have any problem. In fact, I am also a math guy. I love maths. Second thing is you can use numbers to disprove something. Numbers will only help you to disprove something. So use numbers to disprove and use algebra to prove, right? So I'm not going to talk too much about that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a question. It's going to be an easy question, and I'm going to give you 3 minutes to solve that, because see, timing is really it's a real key here, because I can give you a question and give you 8 hours to solve it. Everyone will solve it, but it's how will you solve those questions under 3 minutes. I'm even giving you an extra minute. Should be under 2 minutes, right? So, all right. So we're gonna learn by questions. So everyone ready for a question? Everyone is ready. In case you want to get a cup of coffee or something, everyone is ready. All right. Okay. There you go. So there you go. Let's see this question here. Don't put the answer on the chat yet. Don't put the answer on the chat yet. We will put it after everyone is done. No problem. No problem, Shiva. All right. I think it's an easy question. So is everyone done, or do you need more time? If you're done, just let me know you're done. Okay. Mm-hmm. We still have a minute. It's okay. You can take your time. Thirty seconds. All right, guys. Just post your answers in the chat window. Just post your answers, guys. Everyone. All right. So looks like everyone got the same answer. So it was an easy question. I like to start with easy questions. Uh, Again, this question reinforces that we have a knack for positive numbers. You must have seen that the first number you try is a positive number. It's okay. Even I do that. So this is a yes/no data sufficiency problem, right? If you watch the video on yes/no data sufficiency problem, you would know that this particular question, it's a yes or a no question. So to disprove this question, you have to get a yes and you have to get a no, right? So this question can be solved with algebra pretty easily, but it's very important that you understand the structure of plugging in numbers and using algebra together in a particular problem, because when the question gets difficult, your discipline is going to get you through to that question. So the question asked me, is x equal to 1, right? So that's what the question is asking me. So that is how my scratch paper is going to be on my paper. I will write what the question is asking me, because I don't want to look at the paper and look at the screen, look at the paper and look at the screen about what's the question asking me. So write it down on the piece of paper and then start statement 1 clearly. So this statement says x square is equal to 1 over x square. Now the only reason I cannot take x square to that side would be if x square is 0. If x is 0. Well, if x is 0, then this is not going to work out, because 0 will not be equal to 1 over 0. So that means I can take the x square to that side, right? You got to be careful here. What if x could have been 0? If x could have been 0, you cannot do that, right? So from here, I can simply say that x to the power 4 is equal to 1. Now, let's try plug in some numbers here. You don't need to plug in numbers. You can use algebra as well. You can clearly see that this will work for 1 and this will work for -1. Right? So it will work for 1 and it will work for -1, which means, is x equal to 1? Yes here. Is x equal to 1? No here. That means this cancels out. Then you have statement 2. Right? If statement 1 gets cancelled out, that means it's either answer option B, C, or E. Right? Then statement 2, it says x square is equal to 1 over x. Now use the same logic, because it's either going to be 1 or -1. If this question, use these values in here and check whether these values work. Will 1 work here? 1 square is equal to 1 over 1. Perfect. Will -1 work here? No, -1 is not going to work here. And now I can use a little bit of algebra. I can take this to that side. I can say x cube is equal to 1. The only way this is possible if x is equal to 1. So that means this statement gives me the answer, which means answer option B is my answer. Pretty easy question, guys. I hope everyone got it. But I wanted to just get you into that mode of solving questions. Is everyone fine, guys? Please just let me know if you have any doubt, anything in the way I solved the question. All right, perfect. You can stop me anytime if you have any question. All right, let's see the next one, guys. Okay, there you go. 3 minutes. Your time starts now. All right, guys, time's up. Just put your answers in the chat window. Doesn't, okay, okay. Yeah, so we're not seeing any variance. Okay, we have some variance. All right. Yeah, this question was not that difficult. Again, it will get difficult. Don't worry if you're thinking I'm just giving you easy questions. Uh, well, okay. First of all, very important. Be disciplined. Start the question by not getting overwhelmed with the question. This is not an overwhelming question though, but you will actually see questions where you'll see, oh, what is that? So don't get overwhelmed. All right. Write down the conditions. The first condition is x is not equal to 0. Write that down in the scratch paper. That's so that you don't use that number. And the question is a yes no data sufficiency problem. Get your yes no data sufficiency zone in. The question is asking is xy greater than 0. So basically, whenever the question asks you a product of two numbers being greater than 0, so the question is just asking you whether they have the same sign or not. So that is what the question is asking you. Do they have the same sign or not? Right? If they have the same sign, then only x into y is greater than 0. Otherwise, they will not be greater than or equal to 0. First statement tells me x is greater than 0, but doesn't say anything about y. Now, this could be a supplement for the second statement, right? Because even though it's insufficient on its own, this could very well be a supplement for the second statement when we combine. So first statement is insufficient. It's either answer option B, C, or E. Then let's look at the second statement. It says 1 over x is less than y. Now, the only way I can take x to that side if I know that x is positive. I don't know that yet because don't see this when you draw this line, forget about the first statement, right? So I don't know whether x is positive or not. Now to verify whether x into y is greater than 0, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose some numbers and it's going to be very easy. This is x and this is y. See guys how I am working in columns. Work in columns. It'll be much easier for you to have a bigger picture of the question. Now x could be a positive number or x could be a negative number. So x could be 2. So 1 over 2, y could be 3. Now, is my statement verified? Is 3 greater than 1 over 2? Yes. And what is my yes no? What is my yes no? My yes no is x into y has to be greater than 0. Is 2 into 3 greater than 0? Yes. Now let's just pick up a negative number. Let's say this is equal to negative 2 and let's say this is equal to 3. This is equal to negative 2, this is equal to 3. You can clearly see that 1 over negative 2 is actually less than 3. Statement is verified. Is x into y greater than 0? No. So if I have a yes, I have a no, statement insufficient. Do not say the statement is insufficient by just a hunch. Don't say x could be positive and x could be negative. All right, the statement is insufficient. That's a hunch, guys. This is a proof. Prove it, right? Because in the middle of a test, hunches may go wrong, and you really don't want to your score to rely on your hunches, right? So that's very important. It's very important to prove it up. Now let's combine both the statements. So when you combine, I recommend using algebra. That's what I recommend when you combine. So you have x greater than 0 and you have 1 over x less than y. Now you already know that x is greater than 0. That means you can take this to that side. So which means 1 is less than xy. If x into y is greater than 1, of course x into y is greater than 0. Which means my answer is option C. Alright, so if you have any problem, guys, let me know. Yeah, Rahul, I just did that. Once we know that x is greater than 0, we can take x to that side. That is the only way we can do it. Otherwise, we cannot. Anyone has any problem, guys, just put it here before we move on to the next problem. If you have any problem with the way I've explained it, even though you got the answer, but the way I've explained it, if you have any problem, I need a confirmation. Write a yes if everything is good, guys. Write a yes. All right, perfect. All right, so let's move on to the next problem, guys. There you go. I give you 3 minutes. Don't put the answer, guys. Don't put the answer in the chat window yet till the 3 minutes are over. If you're done, just put it there that you're done. I expect to see some variability here. All right, guys, is everyone done? Okay, I'm going to discuss the question because the time is up. All right, so I'm discussing the question. Okay. All right. So I'm discussing the question here, guys. So again, this is kind of a really good example of suspending your assumptions, right? It says, is z an even integer? So is z belongs to an even number, right? First statement says z by 2 is actually an even number, right? So it's an even number. So from here I can say, I can use a little bit of algebra. I can say z is actually 2 times an even number. I think about negative numbers, I think about positive numbers. And again, since this is even, I cannot even use a fraction here, because if a number is an even, it has to be an integer. So that means no matter what I think, z turns out to be an even number. Just make sure that you think a little, right? Okay, so that means this statement is sufficient. It's either answer option A or answer option D. Now the second statement is a little tricky. It says 3 into z is an even number. Now z could be 2 or z could be 2 by 3. Because if you say 3z, that is 3 into 2 by 3, that means 3 into 2 by 3, it's an even number. But z is not an even number. So you have a yes and you have a no. That means this statement is insufficient. Hence answer option A is the answer. Now guys, Did you understand the second statement? If you have a, just let me know. I can do that again. Z just could be a fraction as well. I know it's a good case of suspending your assumptions. Do not just think about, okay. So three, it says 3z is an even number. So 3z is an even number. I'm gonna take a different route. Let's say 3z is equal to 2k. You can write an even number as 2k. That means z could be equal to 2 by 3k, right? So that means it's not always clear, it's not always it's not always true that z has to be an even number, because z can be 2 by 3, z can be 4 by 3, z can be 6, z can be 7, what do you say, 6 by 3, or 6 by 3 is an even number, or 11 by 3, sorry, not 11 by 3, 14 by 3, right? So z could actually be any multiple of 2 by 3. So that means z can be an integer and z cannot be an integer, which means second statement is insufficient. You don't really need to go this route, guys. You don't really need to go this route. You can just say z is equal to 2 or z is equal to 2 by 3. These are the two numbers which are giving you z as an integer and z not as an integer. Okay, guys, everyone got it? I need to see it on your chat window. Everyone got it, right? 10 seconds. If you have any problem, just put it there that you want me to explain it again. I can do that. Okay. All right. Looks like everyone got it. Okay, so as you can see, the questions are now getting trickier and trickier, right? Okay, let's move on to the next one. It has the hint next to it, right? So try to use that hint. Okay, there you go, guys. Okay, 3 minutes for the question. Try and solve it, and then we'll solve it together. Let's discuss the question afterwards. All right, guys. Let's discuss the problem. Okay, so I'm discussing the problem, guys. Okay, so the question is explicitly telling us that they are positive integers, right? So we're just working with positive integers. So x belongs to integers and y belongs to integers and also positive. All right, so it's a yes no data sufficiency problem. So the question is asking us, is y odd? So if I get y as even, that means it's no. If I get y as odd, it's a yes. All right, let's see the first statement. The first statement says y plus 2 factorial divided by x factorial. Now what I'll do here is, it's something I call reverse plugging in. Rather than plugging in a value for y, I will plug in a value for this whole thing. Now when is this thing odd? This thing is odd when you have something like, this thing is odd is when you have something like 3 factorial over 2 factorial. Then it is odd, isn't it? So in that case, y could be 1 and x could be 2, isn't it? Because 1 plus 2 is 3 factorial and x is 2 factorial. Because if you kind of solve it up, it gives you a 3, it gives you an odd number. Okay, let me try another thing. Let me try 5 factorial over 4 factorial. Okay, 5 factorial over 4 factorial. In that case, y could be 3 and x could be 4. I'm still getting y as odd. And you'll still keep on getting y as odd if you keep moving forward. Which is why I've put this thing here. If you're stuck, try to get a hint from the next statement. What is the statement telling me? The statement is telling me, oh, it has to be greater than 2. Alright, when will it not be greater than 2? It will not be greater than 2 if they are both equal. If it is something like 3 factorial over 3 factorial, then you get a 1, and 1 is an odd number. So that means you can put y as 1 and x as 3, right? Or you can put y, so we have to get y as even. You can put y as 2 and x as 4. So if you put y as 2, you get 2 plus 2, 4 factorial. And you can put x as 4 factorial. 4 factorial divided by 4 factorial gives you 1, which is an odd number. So that means I can get y as odd, I can get y as even from just the first statement, which means this is insufficient. Answer option A, first statement is insufficient. That means it's B, C, or E. Is everyone fine till now? I'm going to solve the second statement later on. First statement is the key. Is everyone fine till now? Just let me know. If you want me to explain it again, I can do that. I need your answer in the chat window, guys. I need your answer in the chat window. Okay. Okay, everyone is fine. So the second statement itself is insufficient because it says y plus 2 over x factorial is greater than 2. It could be, that will not make y as even or y as odd, and that's a hunch, let me just prove that hunch. So y could be 1 or y could be 1 or y could be 2. You can take y as 1 and you can get y as 2. So if you get y as 1 and y as 2, you can make x to be anything. You can make x to be equal to 1, guys. You can make x to be equal to 1. And that thing will always come out to be greater than 2. Or you can take y as 3 and y as 4. That makes it much easier. So that will always make this to be greater than 2. And you have y as even, y as odd. So this goes to insufficient. Now understand, do not rely on hunches. Do not rely on hunches, guys. This is my request to you. You say this, okay, this is greater than 2, y could be odd, y could be even, this statement is insufficient. Don't think like that. Put it there in front of you in a piece of paper, 2 different cases where you have this as sufficient and you have this as insufficient. You're getting a yes, you're getting a no. Because sometimes the results will surprise you, believe me. And one question can be the difference between a 51 and a 50. And you really don't want to see a 50 there. You want to see a 51, right? So that's there. So if I combine both the statements, you can clearly see no matter what number I try, I will always get an odd number because you've seen that happening. It could be 3 factorial over 2 factorial, 5 factorial over 4 factorial, because the only way you can get an odd number, if this is an odd number factorial divided by odd number minus 1 factorial, right? That's the only possible way. So that means combining both the statements are sufficient. Hence my answer is option C. Is everyone fine here? Fanindra, no problem. The answer options A, B, C, D, E. A means first is sufficient. B means second is sufficient. C means both are sufficient. D means individually they are sufficient. So I'll just put it in the chat window. Is everyone fine, guys? Let me know. Let me know. This was a little tricky one. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'll explain it again. I'm just pasting the answer options in here. Okay, these are the answer options. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the question again. I hope this time it would be clear. Oh, what's happening? Ooh. So how do I clear this up? Okay, let me just do this thing. Okay, so what the question said was, first statement was that y over 2 factorial, y over 2 or y over 1? Yeah, y plus 2 factorial over x factorial is odd. Now, it could be odd if this is 5 factorial over 4 factorial, or 3 factorial over 2 factorial, or it could be 7 factorial over 6 factorial. Basically, n factorial over n minus 1 factorial, where n is an odd number, right? That is the only way this could be odd. Another way this could be odd is if both the numbers are same, if you get a 1, right? If x factorial is equal to y plus 2 factorial, right? So these are the two ways this could be odd, right? And the second statement eliminates this way, and this is the only way remaining, which means combining both the statements are sufficient. Is everyone fine now, guys? Do you have any specific question? Let me know. Siva, it could be done that way, but it will always boil down to these two possibilities. And the second statement gives you the hint that there is a possibility like that. So my takeaway from this question is, look at the second statement for a hint. That is my this. And you know what? This is something you will only know by plugging in numbers. With algebra, the problem is it's difficult to start. It's easy to finish. With numbers, it's easy to start but difficult to finish. And I have an approach that I combine both. Start with numbers, it's so easy to start. And you can always finish with algebra, because once you plug in numbers, you observe patterns. See, we always like patterns. Everything that we know till now as a species is by observing patterns, right? That's what we do. So observe patterns. Plug in numbers, be aware of patterns. That's what I would say. Okay, is everyone fine, guys, before we move on to the next problem? Any question? Any question? Let me know. Put it in the chat window if it's fine. I'm going to move on to the next problem. I need at least 5 or 6 yeses. Okay, perfect. Moving on to the next problem. So now I'm going to move on to the problem solving zone. I'm going to start with an easy question because this was a tough one. Moving on to the next one. All right. Let's see this one. It's a square. It's actually square root of x square over x square. All right, guys. This question I will give you just 2 minutes. Do not put the question, your answer chat in the chat window. Do not put it yet. We will put it after 2 minutes, guys. No problem. Okay, guys, is everyone done? It's an easy question, guys, right? Is everyone done? Yeah, it's an easy question, but my point in this question is to show you not to solve these questions with hunches. Solve these questions in a really proof way. So again, x is not equal to 0. This says x is not equal to 0. The question is asking what is this? We start with plugging in numbers. We say, okay, let's say x is equal to, x could be a positive number, isn't it? So x, let's say x is equal to 2. If x is equal to 2, what is this? This is square root of 2 square divided by 2 square, which is 2 over 4, which is 1 by 2. If I plug in x to be 2, I should be getting 1 by 2. What am I getting here? Negative 1 by 2. Gone. What am I getting here? 0. Gone. What am I getting here? 1 by 2. Okay, fine. That could be my answer. What am I getting here? 1 by 4. Gone. What am I getting here? 1 by 2. I'm down to 2 answer options now. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. If you used a positive number, let's use a negative number. Let's say negative 2. Now, I'm not going to try for these three. I'm just going to try for these two. If I plug in x to be negative 2, I will still get a 1 by 2 because it's all squares, and so I'll still get a positive number. But what is this? This is negative 1 by 2. Gone, which means E is my answer. Did everyone get the question, guys? Did everyone understand? Please put it in the chat window. Alright, so now next question. I will give you 2 minutes and there is a prize money involved. Okay? I will give you a Flipkart, or let's say whatever, Amazon. I'll give you a 100 rupee Flipkart voucher if you get the question right. Okay? Was that? We also know the root of. Yeah, Malika, you can still do it with algebra. That's always there, right? Okay. But not every question you would know the exact algebra of it, right? So yeah. Okay, guys, next question. There is a prize money involved. I will give you 100 rupees Flipkart voucher if you get the question right. Okay. But again, no one will put the answer in the chat window, and you will only get 2 minutes to solve the question. Is everyone ready, guys? Okay, it's not a difficult question, but it's okay. Just to get the stakes high. All right, so your time starts now, guys. Remember, just 2 minutes, and do not put the question and answer in the chat window. 20 seconds left, guys. 20 seconds. All right, everyone. Just put your answer in the chat window right now. Everyone. Damn it, no one gets my Flipkart voucher. Answer is wrong, guys. It's not D. Anyhow. Okay, so let's understand the problem. So the question says, this is like the pinnacle of suspending your assumptions, right? Wx is a multiple of 10. Okay, so w into x is a multiple of this. Okay. I'm gonna solve it. Let me see how I change the color. Sorry. Color. Where do I change the color? Settings. Just a sec, guys. I want to change the color. I'm new to this. Okay, anyhow, I'll solve it here. Okay, so the question said that Wx is a multiple of 10. That's what the question said. And it said that xy is odd. Right? Who told you that w, x, y are integers? No one told you that. Is it there anywhere in the question that it says that it's an integer? No. So we can pretty much eliminate all of them. So first one says wy is even, right? So first one says wy is even. Well, I could say w is equal to 5 by 2, and I could say x is equal to 4 by 5. So when you multiply 5 by 2 with 4 by 5, what do you get? Okay, let's not say 4 by 5. Let's say, okay, let me just track back here. Trying to choose numbers. So let's say w is equal to 5 by 2. Let's not say 5 by 2. Let's say 3 by 2. And x is equal to 10 by, or let's not say 10, 20 by 3. So if I choose these numbers, and let's say y, and x into y is odd. So let's say y is equal to, you have to divide by this, and let's say 9. Okay, so you can clearly see that w into x, it's 10, and x into y is 3. So w into x is it's a multiple of 10, and x into y is odd. Is w into y even? No. Gets eliminated. What's the second one? W is even. Is w even? No. Gets eliminated. What's the next one? Is x odd? No. Gets eliminated. Which means nothing is true. None is the answer. Did everyone get it, guys? So this is where it all connects, guys. Suspend your assumptions. Do not assume things on your own. Start with a nil assumption, right? So yeah, I always use this question at the end. I created this question. You can clearly see it's written in my hand. But it's a good question. Everyone gets it wrong, especially when I put the time pressure. If I give you like 5 minutes to solve this, you would think, and you might get it. But to suspend your assumptions in such a short amount of time, because guys, it's not your problem. It's how we are. It's how we are trained. It's how our brain thinks. It will always try to find consistency, find patterns, right? So you will always try to think the way we think in normal life, right? But you have to suspend that when you're in the GMAT test. Yes, yeah, everything should be stated. Everything should be stated. If it's an integer, it will be stated. Don't expect it to be complex numbers, but in terms of real numbers, expect anything. But yeah. Is that fine? All right, let's move on to the next problem, guys. Here you go. Now, this is an easy one. Okay, let's try this one. All right, guys, you get 2 minutes to this for this. All right, guys, let's discuss this problem. Everyone put your answers in the chat window. Okay, so this is a question where I would promote a little bit of algebra, right? If you look here, it's always good to open the. Sometimes it's recommended, like most of the times it's recommended that you open this up. If absolute of x is equal to 2y, there are two decisions that I can take out of it. The decisions are that x could be equal to 2y, or x could be equal to negative 2y. These are the two decisions, or two possibilities, you can say that. From here, the possibility is that either x minus 2y is 0 or x plus 2y is 0. These are the two possible. Either this is true or this is true. There's nothing else which is true. So the first statement says x plus 2y is equal to 6, which means that this is not true. If this is not true, that means this should be true. That means x minus 2y will be 0. Sufficient. Second one says that x into y is greater than 0, which means x and y carry the same sign. If they carry the same sign, that means this is not true. This is true, which means x minus 2y is 0. That means this is also sufficient, and D is my answer. Let me know if you have any question here, guys. Please put it on the chat window if you understood it or if you didn't understand it. So if x plus 2y is equal to 6, so if absolute of x is equal to absolute of 2y, there are just two possibilities. Either x could be equal to 2y or x could be equal to negative 2y. Or you can say that x minus 2y could be 0 or x plus 2y could be 0. One of them is true. They're mutually exclusive. And it has to be either of them. First statement says x plus 2y is equal to 6. which means that x plus 2y is not 0. If x plus 2y is not 0, then x minus 2y has to be 0. So the question is asking what is x minus 2y? It is 0. Sufficient. Second statement, x and y carry the same sign. If x and y carry the same sign, this cannot be true, that x is equal to negative of y. It's not possible. That means the first is possible. First is certain actually. So that means x minus 2y is 0, which means each statement is sufficient. Should I explain it again? Manas, Chirag, let me know. Chirag, did you get it? Okay. One more thing, I think you should know this already, that if the answer option is D in a data sufficiency problem, both should give you the same answer. One statement cannot say x minus 2y is 0, another statement say x plus 2y is 0. That's not possible. Both the statements should tell you the same answer. They should tell you the same story. That is true for every GMAT data sufficiency problem. Both the statements will give you the same answer. Everyone is fine, guys? All right. Okay, great. Okay, so let's see. All right, guys. So we're running out of time. So I had one more question though, but we're gonna run out of time. So this was not a difficult question. This is actually a pretty okay question, I would say. If I had to say easy, medium, or hard, I would say this would be a medium question. Right? So not that difficult. But the one that we tried earlier was a difficult question. It depends on the, so how do they measure the question difficulty? They test the questions on people, and based on the people's responses, the question is just as easy, medium, or hard. So if on an average people find it hard, the question is just as hard. So it could be a very simple question, but it could be a hard question because people, there is a trick involved which people don't catch, right? So that's there. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna solve one more question. I have this question. All right, one last question, guys, before we go. Manas, if you get stuck, I would recommend you to solve at least 10-15 questions like that, right? Solve them to get and you will not get stuck then. It's just a matter of practice. And sometimes you don't really have to open it. It actually depends on questions. You can choose to plug in numbers. All right, guys. 2.5 minutes. Let's give it that. All right, guys. Put your questions, put your answers in the chat window. Okay. All right. So again, this is about suspending our assumptions again. The question says that a is not equal to 0, so we can't choose 0. And the question says is 1 over a greater than a over b to the power 4 plus 3. Now, I want to solve this up, but the only reason I cannot take a to that side if I don't know whether a is positive or not. If a is positive, I can take a to that side and I can simplify this. First statement says a is equal to b square. Now, a is not equal to 0. If a is equal to square of a number, it has to be positive, which means I can simplify this. So let's just substitute a is equal to b square here. If I substitute that, I get 1 over b square to be greater than b square over b to the power 4 plus 3, which tells me that b to the power 4 plus 3 greater than b to the power 4. Is that true always? Yes, because a positive number plus a positive number is always greater than that positive number. So that means, or you can just cut the b to the power 4 on both sides. Is 3 greater than 0? Yes, all the time. Which means first statement is sufficient. Answer option A is fine and D is fine. Let's move on to the second statement. Second statement says a to the power 2 is equal to b to the power 4. Now here, a could be positive or a could be negative, because a positive number square could be equal to a positive number, or a negative number square could be equal to a positive number. So a could be positive and it could be negative. So if a, so I can actually solve it for a negative number, because I've already showed that for positive number it gives you a yes. For negative number, what will happen is the sign will flip. If the sign will flip, it will give me a no. So I have a yes, I have a no, statement insufficient, hence answer option A is my answer. Guys, let me know if you want me to explain it again. The only difference between statement 1 and statement 2 is that statement 2 allows a to be negative. If it allows a to be negative, the sign will flip when I try to cross multiply. When I will cross multiply on each side, what will happen? The sign will flip. So one side I'm having a sign greater than, and one side I'm having a sign less than. So yeah, Rahul, if you take if here, I think here fractions won't matter. The only thing that will matter is whether a is positive or a is negative. If you choose any positive number, it will give you a yes. If you choose any negative number, it will give you a no. And I think in here, since the nature of the numbers were such, I wanted to choose algebra in here. It was my gut feeling that I wanted to use algebra in here. So numbers won't help you all the time. Algebra won't help you all the time. It's the combination of both. But yeah, if you plug in a to be 1 by 4 and b to be like 0, doesn't matter, you would get a yes. Did you get it, Rahul? Sure. Okay, so guys, this brings us to the end of this this class. I will post the recording in your course. And if you have any question right now, you can let me know, because the reason we started live sessions in our premium TV was to to understand what's happening with your GMAT prep. If you have any question, I'm open for another 10 minutes. Let me know, or else we can wrap it up. I will post the recording in your course, and we will. So I think this Monday we're taking a vocabulary session, which I think is not good for GMAT guys, but we'll be taking a verbal session next week, and the link will be posted in your course. So that's there. Thank you very much, guys. Any question you have about your GMAT prep, let me know. Okay, Rahul. The first and foremost important thing is to solve official questions. Please do not solve questions from here and there. So the only thing you want to solve is OG and then quant review, and then you will give tests, and if need be, you will solve advanced Manhattan prep, advanced Manhattan guide. It's a very, I can vouch for that particular question sets. It has 20 question sets for 20 questions. I think 10 questions each. Ketan, it's our course which is at this link. We kept just this webinar free because some students requested us, but usually we are only going to keep the live classes for our course students. So Rahul, have you solved OG? Have you solved quant review? Have you solved advanced Manhattan? If you solved all these three, Ketan, it's in that link, the link that I've put it there. If you have solved all these three, and then shoot me an email, I'll send you more recognized and good questions. It's a book, Malika. It's called Manhattan Advanced Quant. It's a book called Manhattan Advanced Quant. And just to let you know, these questions I've picked up, some questions I've picked up specially from Manhattan Advanced Quant. This last question was picked up from Manhattan Advanced Quant. It's a good book. I can vouch for that. Once you've solved that, I would recommend you to just take practice tests. Guys, your practice tests are your key to improvement. Like first test that you give, should be untimed. Then slowly bring time into the picture. So let's suppose I'll just share this thing with you. Let's suppose your target score is 700, okay, and let's say your target score is quant 50 and verbal 35, right? You give an untimed test. Until and unless you score this much on your untimed test, don't give a time test, because you don't want to complicate time right now, because the first thing you want to get hold of is concepts, and then you want to bring timing into the picture. So once you get your target score using your concepts, that means using untimed tests, then you bring time into the picture. Give yourself 50% more time, then give yourself 20% more time, and then at the end, give yourself negative 5% time. Try to solve the questions, try to give the test in like 70 minutes for quant and 70 minutes for verbal. That's a good strategy. The problem is that we give a time test right away, and that just blows us away, and then we always feel that GMAT is tough. You have to take it step by step. I hope I'm clear, guys. Siva, I find GMAT to be not tough. I don't know. It depends from person to person. It's not a big deal. Rahul, when usually students they finish all the GMAT prep tests, so there's 4 tests, and they usually have 6 exam pack from Manhattan, which is 6, and that's 10. And then there are other. There is a video that I've made, which is GMAT study plan video. In that GMAT study plan video, I've explicitly even given the links of free tests available and different types of tests. So I think you should be giving about 12 to 15 tests before entering the real test. Like if you want to, there's that. What do you suggest to improvise in algebra? Dimple, practice and right techniques, and practice and right techniques are the key. I think that's like an overall suggestion, but again, it will completely depend on how have you been in algebra in your school time. That's important. So it would be really personalized according to you, right? Yeah, Manhattan basic books, I would recommend you to go ahead and solve them. Understand. Before you even do that, there is an official guide. There is a section before even the questions start. It lays down all the basic properties of maths that are required for GMAT, right? So just do that. Yeah. Chirag, nothing is close to the real GMAT except the real GMAT. Nothing is close. Believe me. So so you can't go as far as like solving like RS Agarwal for math. Don't do that. But the closest you can get are these guys like Manhattan and these guys. So that's the closest you can go. Apart from that, the way I solve, the questions I use are only questions from official, and sometimes I use Manhattan just for advanced questions. Uh, yeah. Yeah, some people, Malika, use RS Agarwal. I don't know where they get that idea. So that's there. I think someone asked me how Veritas exams. I gave the exam and I found the exam to be what do you call it? Calculatively very hard. Calculatively, not conceptually. They tend to give questions where you have to solve big number this. So it was okay, but I would say it was a little far from real GMAT as compared to Manhattan. It was real a little far, but nothing comes close to. Ketan, I don't have any idea about read for GMAT. Uh, so that's there. Any other question, guys? Stick to official material. Stick to official material. That's the important key. And sometimes it's just the official material which matters, right? Just stick to official material. I would just tell you that. Nothing more than that. So there's so many questions, and after you finish your official material, just give practice tests. So the way I did my prep, that was like 6 years ago. I finished all that material, and then I just stick to tests. I used to give a test, and I used to see, okay, which type of questions I'm not good at, and then I used to solve those questions. And it turned out that I diagnosed myself. So it's about diagnosing your strengths and weaknesses. Standard advice will never work for you, because some people have a knack for giving advice, do that and do that, but I believe that it has to be customized. I'm into research, so I believe that that customization is the key, right? Manas, improving your concepts. First, watch all the videos that I have. I've worked really hard on them, and then after that, start solving questions. Start learning about yourself, learning about your weaknesses, and working on those weaknesses. That is the key. At the end, at the end of the day, it's just a knowledge transfer. You should be, if you work hard enough, you should be able to do it. Manas, it's in the course. It's in this course. This course has all the videos. It will have access to these live classes every week. It will have access to practice questions, and it will have access to pretty much everything you need for GMAT apart from computer adaptive tests, right? So that's there. Any other question, guys? Okay, so that's there. So thank you very much for this, for coming to the session, guys. It wouldn't be possible without you guys. And if you ever come to Iowa State, let me know. I'm a PhD student here. I'm here for the next 4 years. So we'll meet. All right. So thank you very much, guys. I'm going to end the session. If you have a question, you can just put it here. Or, okay. I see some people typing. Nope. Okay. Okay, guys. So thank you very much. I'm going to end the session. Have a good day. अरे